17th Clark County School Board of Trustee meeting to order. Ms. Markowski, if you would please note that the board member missing would be Ms. Hutchinson and of course Mr. Lawler with us today. Thank you very much. And if you would all please stand with me and say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our first item would be the approval of the agenda. And Lord, I move that we approve the agenda as presented. Could I please have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstained. All right. The next would be the approval of minutes from the previous meeting, and I would move that we approve these as well. Could I please have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstained. Thank you. Okay, now we have public meeting, public hearing, regular meeting, public comments. Yeah, okay, so and we do have a public comment this evening. Janice Lavelle. So, Ms. Lavelle, if you would please come up to the podium and say your name and where you live and tell us some good information, please.
Thank you. Could you take a picture of me?
I'll be happy.
Great, thank you.
I'll take my glasses off.
I just want to warn the board, Ms. Lavelle was a school teacher, so I just want
I can be concise. I want to thank Dr. Hartledge and President Buckwater for allowing me to speak this evening about a very special topic for the state of Indiana. As you can see, I'm a healthy child advocate and has Indiana lead free. We have these posters that we put in businesses and daycare centers. I've been to a library. I've been to dairy care agencies. I've been to Utica Elementary School to speak to their PTO. In 2023, the state of Indiana decided they wanted to require all children 6 and under to be tested for lead poisoning. And I am one of 10 healthy advocates in the state. This one for Clark County. And it's working with NAACP and local minority health coalitions in these 10 communities. The health department has been so wonderful. The information that's on the table, tables are from the health department. Children exposed to lead can suffer serious health problems throughout their lives. There is no safe level of lead in children. Even small amounts of lead can cause permanent damage. We wanted to let people understand that kids 6 and under should be tested for lead poisoning. And where is lead poisoning found? It can be found in paint, dust, old toys, soil, water, ceramics, even some of the jewelry that people wear. We need to understand that because children do have a tendency to put things in their mouth, even children that are 6 years old. Exposure to lead can seriously harm a child's health. Children aged 6 and younger are especially vulnerable because their bodies use the toxic lead in brain and bone development. Kids exposed to lead exposure can include damage to the brain and nervous system, including lower IQ, slow growth and development, learning and behavioral problems, including decreased ability to pay attention and underperformance in schools. And I was telling Dr. Hartledge, sometimes when children have behavior issues, it's not because of what is happening within their bodies. Sometimes it is because of what's happening within their bodies, but it could be exposure to the environment they live in. And sometimes teachers are always advocating for kids' health, and sometimes we put kids on ADHD medicine when it's not necessary, and kids need to be tested. Sometimes parents don't want their kids tested because they think it's invasive. It's just a little prick. And sometimes parents need to step forward and have courage and let their kids understand that these things need to happen. Now, I'm going to give you my email address and my telephone number. And if you know of someone that I can talk to, I can go to daycare. Is it time already? Okay, daycare centers, I was.
You're
So,
okay.
but I will give you my email address. My email address is my name, Janice W. Lavelle, LEAVELL @gmail.com. And my cell phone number is 502-649-1771. October 22nd to October 28th is Lead Convention Week, and if the board could make a proclamation or put something on the Greater Clark website, I would truly appreciate it. If anyone would like to take some information, please feel free to do so to your church or club or wherever there are children. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lavelle. We appreciate it. We may be reaching out with some questions. Great. Okay, thank you so much for that. Next item would be our major funds monitoring report. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Mr.
Got
President.
fall colors on.
Yes, sir. Fall. It is winter. I think we missed fall. It feels like it anyway.
Yeah.
Freezing to death already, sorry. Oh yeah, your blood changes that quick. Being down here 3 years and now it's 60 degrees, so I don't know. Serious business here with your major fund monitoring report. The 5 major funds. This evening I'm going to report to you a comparison, what I wanted to compare how you were doing last year, this year by this report. As you can see in your education fund, you have $13.6 million. Last year at the same time you had $9.2 million. So you are doing a fabulous job. In your operations fund, you have $1.1 million. Last year this time you had $200,000. Again, this fund will go in the hole between now and December until we get our tax money, but because you have a healthy overall cash balance, we can do that, we'll be fine. Your debt service, $4.6 million. Last year was $5.4. Don't be disappointed in that because that is what the fund that we use to control your tax rates, and we'll get into that later on in this meeting. Your pension debt, you had $715,000 this year. Last year was $590,000. The significance of this cash balance building is to minimize the taxes that I'll have to collect over the next year because this fund will pay off December 24. So that helps with your tax rate and obtaining that $1.10 because I advertise so high and I will take it down to do that. So that's why we build cash balances, so when we get near to an end of a payoff, it's available so you don't have to collect so much taxes. So we just smooth that out throughout the duration of the loan. In your rainy day, this is the impressive one. You have $6.1 million today, and last year $3.5 million. We are well on our way to reach that goal of 10 to 12 million. This district should easily hit that. And had conversations with the Discretion Appeal Board. They're very interested in our success story. So these are the kind of things that we were talking to them about. I plan on meeting with them very soon to discuss with them how the board, superintendent, and everyone that the superintendent has at the table, all of our unions, all of our employees, what they have done to make Greater Clark successful, including our vendors. So this is a very exciting time for Greater Clark. I've been dying to get the story out, and so this is the first step that we're going to do. So by this evidence that you're seeing here, these cash balances proves that. And just to mention, in your consent agenda, previously I would go through a couple of additional funds, and I just kind of want to point out, and I said that I would pull that up to you. In your school lunch fund, your cash balance at the end of September was $3.2 million. So at the next meeting, we will be asking permission to advertise to renovate the Jeff High School cafeteria. It's going to be more of a selection. We will be doing equipment electrical there. That has to be done, and then we will follow up with flooring inside that cafeteria to make it more conducive and better options for our high school students. The other is the curriculum materials. We have $2.2 million as of September 30th. The impact of this fund here is that we no longer charge book rental, and the state will be supplementing that. We submitted that report today. So hopefully that will result in substantial funds, or sustainable funds, that we will be able to purchase books from this point forward. Dr. Hartledge is very well known in studying the materials that go out, and when Title I can come in and help with those purchases, she certainly does make that commitment. The other is your self-insurance fund. We have $3 million. Again, we keep 3 months' worth of expenses, which is about $3 million, but I want to make sure that this fund is healthy. We promised that we wouldn't raise health rates at the rate and at the tune of everyone else in the state of Indiana. You know, they're looking at 10 to 18% increases. Because we've taken care of our other funds and commitments, the district picks up their portion naturally, but we're also going to supply cash balance to this fund so it remains healthy. Those are the things I wanted to point out to you, Mr. President, and I'll entertain any questions if anyone has any.
Board, you comfortable with that? I am as well.
Hearing none.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The next item would be the consent agenda as presented. Board, do I have a motion for the approval of the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Mustaine. Any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. All right, awesome. The next would be gifts to buildings. Mr. Freeman, would you help us with that?
Will do. We have a few gifts this meeting. We have, let's see here, $423 from Mr. Paul A. Burns going to Charlestown Middle. We also have 2 Red Devil mascots being donated by Zach Hughes and Jerry Harris to JHS Events. We also have new uniforms being donated to Parkwood Elementary. We also have different school supplies being donated to Parkwood Elementary from Target. Also, Parkview Middle is actually getting $300 from the First Baptist Church to the theater program. I'm a little bit biased. My daughter's in that program. But in all total, all gifts are going to be total $6,805.37. And I motion that we approve to accept these gifts.
Also, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Any questions or comments? I'm just a tad concerned about how long the mascots will live.
Have you seen them?
No,
They're
no,
pretty
no.
cool.
And
They are.
so they're just uniform,
Uh-huh.
nobody in them.
No.
Okay,
they're
that's what I was
wooden-
gonna
they're
say,
wooden
that's pretty good, anyway. All right, I'm teasing,
The one
okay.
we have is got that great big able to shake head, and I don't think kids can stand up with it on
Oh,
anymore.
man. These younger kids, okay.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
those
their heads are in the bed.
All those in favor of approval of the gift building, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstaining. All right, perfect. Now we're moving right along to the action items. Next item here would be the board policy updates, the second reading. Would that be Dr. Hartledge?
Yes, Board. GCCS, as you know, recently received several proposed updates from Neola. Most of these updates are changes due to revisions to reflect the new legislation. Attached are the current policies with the proposed changes. Deletions are indicated by a strike through in red, and the new language is in green. These policy updates were very thoughtfully reviewed and considered before recommendations were made, and we also consulted with Dr. Jim Halleck to make certain that we were in alignment with everything as we run our operations here. So we recommend that we consider those.
All right. Excuse me, board, do I have a motion for the approval of those proposed second revision policies?
So moved, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. Do I have
A second,
a
yes.
second? I was getting ready to look around like, what's next? Okay, Ms. Perkins, thank you for the second. Any questions or comments? I know
I have a
there's a
comment.
bunch of reading
Yeah.
today.
I know that you reviewed them for the board, right?
Yes, I did.
And you're okay with these as they stand?
Yeah, as presented, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It's a long night.
I know. I said it was like having a root canal.
Oh, it's ferocious. Okay, That being said, all those in favor of the approval of the proposed new policies, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstained. All right, we're gonna move right along. Board policy 4162. There you go. How are you, sir?
Doing fine, how are you doing?
Having the time of my life.
Every day's a holiday.
That's right. Oh, I bet you.
You say
I'm
I'm
sorry,
sorry,
Dad.
start believing?
Yeah, I'm trying to. It's subliminal.
So basically, we're just presenting to the board an update on board policy 4162, the drug and alcohol testing policy, by the recommendation of ITI, which is who we use for drug testing, and the Indiana State Police. We need to be in compliance, and the only change to that is currently it says the director, but it needs to actually name the specific individuals who've been to the trainings. That would be myself, Jeff Brooks, and Yvonne Blevins.
Okay, perfect. Board, do I have a motion for the approval of the revision for policy 4162?
I motion to approve the revision of board policy 462,
Thank you.
4162.
Thank you. Any, a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Jones, any questions or comments? Okay, all right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstaining. Thank you, sir. Are you having another one here? Yeah.
The next one is just a surrender of Route 12C. It was bid as Route H. The current contractor did not have a driver for it, so we've taken that over, and then we're going to rebid it. Actually, we've got a bid meeting this 20th on Friday.
Okay, great. Board, I move we approve the surrender of Route 12C due to the lost CDL driver. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Any questions or comments from Mr. Borders?
So do we have a substitute now?
We're using one of our own corporation drivers to cover it, and then we've kind of made a deal with some of our current contractors that can cover it in the morning, and then we're working on a deal in the afternoon to be able to cover another contractor until it's actually bid out and bids accepted. So basically, we're just using the exact same contract price that it's bid for and paying those contractors A and B.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay. All those in favor of the approval of surrender of the Route 12C, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstained. Perfect. Thank you very much. Next will be the resolution for supplemental payments. How are you?
Good, how are you all?
Having the time of our lives. I'm sorry, I can't help it.
Okay, in the past, our degree changes were incompliant deemed by IRB with our last contract. So IRB is the organization that governs what we can and can't do within a contract. They stated that no more than 50% of an increase can be attributed to education. So just for example, this means that if we wanted to do a $2,500 increase, we could not give any more than $1,250 for a degree change. We wanted to be able to give more than that, and so when we went to bargaining with the teachers union and we discussed what we were going to do, we did decide to pull this piece out of the contract. And so by doing that, we do need to process all of our degree changes by a supplemental pay. So what I'm asking here for is your approval to do so, and it does list in here what the amounts are, but basically it's a master's degree is an increase of $2,500, plus 30 is going to be an increase of $3,000, and then we are doing a $500 increase for anyone with an administrative license or that teaches dual credit. So with that being said, we would like to ask for your approval of the supplemental payments.
Board, I move that we approve the supplemental payments as presented. So, thank you, Mr. Paul. Tell me that real quick again. I was on that committee, I think I remember. The masters.
It's $2,500.
25, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
Plus-
3 for the, I got you.
Yep. 3,000 plus.
And 5 dual credit, yeah. Okay, 500, I got you.
Question. So
Yes.
is this open up with teachers who are changing over to, okay.
Right.
And I was like, I hope that we have like a lot more teachers that have.
Oh,
this.
yes.
I was like, I know for a fact there's a couple of doctors on this list.
These are just the ones who have submitted a change for this school year.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, all those in favor of the approval of the supplemental payments as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. Okey-doke, we'll move right along. Are you up again or no?
No, I'm good tonight.
Okay. Mindful growth contract.
Yes, Board, this is a contract for mindful growth, and as you know, since the pandemic, lots of our academic needs, behavioral increased, and labor shortages are always a challenge. So this is a company who will supply the Special Populations Department with additional school psychologists to help us out. When we have those referrals, we have a certain number of days in which we have to be in compliance and get those completed. So this group will be additional support that will allow the team to stay in compliance with those timeline requirements under Article 7, so we can get all the referrals completed with the high number that we have in the required amount of time. And this will help to determine eligibility for any special needs services that they may need. The contract will be paid through Special Populations Grant Funds and will be overseen by the Director of Special Populations.
Okay, board, do I have a motion for the approval of the contract with Mindful Growth?
Yes, Mr. President, I move that we approve the Mindful Growth contract.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Any questions for Dr. Hartledge? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Okay, moving right along. How are you, Nate?
I'm doing fantastic. Good evening, board. Happy Tuesday. Before you is a timber sale proposal. What this is a standing timber sale that will be for our timber that is on our property at 3618 and 3616 Utica Sellersburg Road, where we are proposed a new school going. So this is to take advantage of what timber we have on our property. Before you is, it is a bid sale that Great Forest Service will administer for us to get our best dollar for that standing timber.
Awesome. Board, I make a motion that we approve the agreement with Great Forest Services. Could I please have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Are there any questions, comments? I just appreciate you doing that. I thought we had that done, but I'm glad you came around and picked it up. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. All right. Now, proposal for property evaluation and fixed asset service.
Thank you, Mr. President. Because of how we are decreasing and expanding as fast as we are, and audit has revealed, and we have looked at this and tried to get as much done as we can before I came in front of the board to ask of this, that we are requesting that we have all of our fixed assets reevaluated. It's required by EM law to have them rated, tagged, and logged, and we do have to report capitalization and depreciation on these assets, and they take care of that. Because we've done so much in the district, closed schools, moved equipment, building schools, adding, I have called for a full reassessment to analyze our previous reporting from our prior company that was provided to this new company. They are much larger, they can provide, large staff to get this done. This will take time over years because we are doing the magnitude that we're doing. So you're seeing these prices over time where they around $57,000. I am fully prepared, been preparing for to take this on and have them assess all of our property. We also utilize this information for insurance purposes to make sure that we're adequately insured on our property values that we do own. So I am respectfully requesting the board to approve this contract with CBIZ. They're used by a lot of school districts in the state of Indiana. They were recommended to us to use this. So they've been here and they've already done some evaluation so that way they can give us a fair price on what they will be doing for us. Our computers are, those kind of things are tagged. They're tagged as they come in with asset tags and tracked. Our Title I equipment, if any, has ever been purchased, which we rarely do. Most of our support, our salary, and our teachers. Those kind of grants have to be tagged, and our value right now is $5,000 or more. So an individual desk does not have to be tagged, nor does the lot. If that individual desk is $5,000, then yes. So we don't have that, but when when we get into our larger equipment, all the HVAC that we have done has to be listed, all our new roofing, our parking lots, our additional classrooms. So we have all that information with our construction projects. When we get into our larger computer purchases, with our pool, all those things will have to come in. Eventually, what will happen is once they have everything to where it needs to be, then any new purchases that come on, we will create a reporting mechanism. We have about 3 years to do that, and they'll work with us on that, on things that are coming in and things that we'll be completing on. So that's the reason for my request today. And we are going to be in the middle of audit. They will be coming next week. And we'll be submitting, they'll get us through June 30th of 23, so now they'll be caught up, even though we just finished one, they were behind before. So this will be a citation in that because today is October, and our last company has to finish up through June 30th for us. And that was cited before, so we will see what we end up with. But we do have a corrective action plan by engaging with us at this point.
Great, cool. Board, do I have a motion for the approval of the proposal for property evaluation and fixed asset services with, and I didn't catch the company.
CBIZ.
CBIZ. Do I have that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Are there any questions for Ms. Hughes?
Yes, from reading this, it seems that our asset survey or our asset fund, whatever, is in bad shape.
Yeah.
What process are we gonna put forward so that we don't get there again?
All right. So what they have not done in the past, they did not have the staff to come in and evaluate. They would look at our board documents when we would approve a project or any purchases. They look at our claims list. So now we don't do that. Now what will happen is that they will be seen, they would be on site to handle that. And we have to provide the supporting documents of any purchases over $5,000. So they will have to do a checklist of how they do, handle those things, and they would be coming in, usually when school's not in. They try to hit summer, Christmas, and spring break. So that's why this isn't starting till June. But they're going to go ahead and do some legwork and looking at our property values, and then they will be providing the reports that are required to be sent to the state board of accounts. So we had to let the other ones finish up because they had to correct what they were doing, what we sent to the state board of accounts, which the previous audit was through 23 through 21. And so they had been contracted with you up through this time. And so I had to have them correct that, and then we fix it again this June 30th. So now I will be getting those reports on a regular basis to match up with what we're purchasing and what we're getting rid of on a consistent basis.
So will each building get an asset list, like the principal?
No, the principal won't, I will.
You will?
Yeah, it will be held because I'm the one that gets audited on it. So
Okay.
it will be there, and it's not like the principal won't be able to have a conversation because they are going to go into the buildings and evaluate them. So then we're going to try to get where we can do it technical wise, where we're doing it by computer, because we need to make sure we're keeping track of those purchases, which is done out of my office, right? And then we always come to the board when we say things are obsolete, so we have that list. And then have them come every other year to make a check, to make sure that nothing has walked off or we didn't report accurately. So
We also look gifts to buildings if it's over $5,000.
and that's usually, well, it depends on what the gift is.
Yeah.
Yeah, those,
Tractor.
yeah, if, when it becomes our asset, it's tagged, and it's over $5,000, yes, but most assets are coming to us via cash, check.
Gotcha.
We haven't had much problem with that. What we've had a problem with is the depreciation of our property value. So it's appreciated much, so that makes sense. That's how that's going. So I respectfully request approval
All those in favor of the approval of the proposal for property evaluation and fixed asset services, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. All right, the next would be resolutions adopting the 2024 budget.
Well, now you know this is the most exciting time for me. Madam Assistant Superintendent, congratulations to you and to our superintendents probably watching on a long journey in talking about budgets, salaries, investing back into our children and our classrooms, and most importantly to the board who sits and listens to me talk about this mundane, paint-drying subject. But you have successfully accomplished a balanced budget, and that is huge in the state of Indiana, we know that. And in order to do your final step for the 2024, before we hand it over to the Department of Local Government Finance, who gives the final blessing and does all the adjustments, there are 4 resolutions. First being the 24 bus replacement plan. That plan is supported by the operations plan. We also do some support out of our bond issuances because our operations fund is being built to the appropriation, if we recall, trying to build that bigger each year. The 2024 capital projects plan, the same. We are listing out some of the things that we're going to be doing, such as the new schools, new roofs, paving. Everything that you see in the 5-year capital plan is our project plan because it is supported by our bond system, but other money out of the operations does come in. Eventually, this fund will have to handle those such things. Now, in the state of Indiana, there is not an operation fund that is going to handle building a brand new school. You do go out and bond for those. But I do include our 5-year plan in this, so that way the state knows what our mission is and what our plans are, and if there's anything that I can support by operations, I will do so. The third being the resolution to establish transfers of funding from the education to operations. We understand what that is. We are increasing that to $11.5 million, still keeping you well under the 15% that is recommended by the state. You're at about 12%, but depending if our funding increases, then that percentage goes down. If our funding increases in education, that percentage goes down. So I'm going to predict that you're going to probably be at 11% by the time that we get our ADM and our funding all squared away. So that will go into the operations fund every June, every December. I don't do it every month so people don't have to search for it. A lot of activity happens June 30th, a lot of activity happens on December 31st. If anybody wants to know, they can look at those 2 reports. And finally, the biggest one, resolution adopting the appropriation, which is the authority to spend for what I'm asking for, and the tax rate. You are not technically adopting, you are semi-technically adopting the advertised, but because we've got our new assessed value that affects that, right? So that will adjust through, and then I will come through and reduce the debt, pension debt, and your debt down to $1.10, which is the mission that you have set forth to your constituents to hit the $1.10. So congratulations to you, and I so recommend that you approve these resolutions for your hard work.
Board, do I have a motion for the approval of the resolutions presented for the 2024 budget?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the 4 resolutions adopting the 2024 budget.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Bristine. Are there any questions or comments from the student?
Yes. Number 3,
Yes.
resolution number 3. Did you not say we were going to 11.5?
Yes,
This says 10 million.
and I will correct that now. Or
It should say 11.5.
Yes, so the resolution should say 11.5, let me double
Then we
check.
need to change that.
The resolution actually says 11.5, which is the official document. I know it says 10.
Right, so
Pardon me.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor of the approval of the resolutions adopting the 2024 budget, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are finished with our action items, and now we're headed to board comments. Mr. Jones, do you have anything you'd like to enlighten the room with?
Good.
You sure?
Absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Paul?
Only that if Mark comes back saying bizarre things like stop and go light and penalty fade, and those are the short-term, side effects of being in Wisconsin.
Mrs. Sam? Mr. Freeman?
Yes, this is my favorite time of year. I will still encourage all kids to go easy on the candy the next couple of weeks. You'll be like me, going to the dentist like I did earlier this week. So, yeah, take it easy on the sugar. Everything's good in moderation, and once again, full-size candy bars in my house.
There you go. What's that address? You gotta get down.
What kind?
Huh?
What kind of candy bars?
All kinds.
Kit Kats?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
It's definitely.
That's all.
Is that all your
That's all I
comment was?
can
I just want to thank Ms. LaBelle for your presentation. It was very kind, very informative, and whatever we can do to help you move that along, we'd like to do that. So I thank you very much. Dr. Roberts?
Yes, I echo your words on Ms. LaBelle. Thank you so much, and we will make certain too that we get that information out to our schools for that good public service announcement, because you outlined some very valid points. As a school district, we are always on top of different regulations, and certainly we do everything we can to keep our buildings safe and a clean learning environment. But certainly this is something that we need to make sure all of our parents are aware. And the testing piece is very important, that they know that that's accessible to them. Secondly, we had some great news today. Christine, our chef, with Aramark, competed individually with several chefs within the student nutrition division for 3 rounds, and ultimately earned 2nd place in the nation.
Wow.
So yes, it's quite, but it gets even better. So this earned them a place on the national team of 3 individuals that went head-to-head against the best chefs from 6 other Aramark divisions, and they finished 2nd. So we are so proud of her. But I was most impressed with, in the final round, they had to prepare a 4-course meal from a blind ingredient box. And some of the items, the menu, the appetizer was smoked beef tongue and pork pot sticker, creamy pumpkin soup with braised pheasant, roasted rainbow beef and orange salad, crispy flounder and brown butter confetti, and top it off with cinnamon mousse and a bourbon pomegranate filling. So, quite impressive. And, our students are so very fortunate, but we are so proud of Christine and her team, and such a great accomplishment. And then finally, board, I wanted to let you know that, we received the wonderful news about Utica being awarded the Blue Ribbon, National Blue Ribbon School. And we have lots of plans in place. We plan to have an open house on Monday, November 27th, that will be blue themed, of course. And they're going to celebrate an entire week for their hard work and very well-deserved accomplishments, and we'll be sending more information out your way. So once again, we're very proud of them, and also wish all of our students a very safe and fun Halloween.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Full-size candy bars.
Full-size.
Mr. Freeman, are you going to have any of that Aramark food at your place?
No.
Probably not. Go traditional. Go Kit Kat, man.
Yeah, it's called Hershey's, Mars.
That's those your ingredients. Ms. Marcassi, would you like to add anything?
Mr. Lockers?
Nice, nice. Board, I move that we adjourn. Do I have a second, please? Thank you, Ms. Perkins. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Amen.